Good morning, and it gives me great pleasure to interview Aubynette. Aubynette is a fellow St. John's Giant, so I'm very happy to see her elevation to the managing director of the PHA. So congratulations on your new post, Aubynette. So I'd like to start with a question. When you realized you wanted to become a leader, what did you do that started you on that path that has taken you to the top of your sector?
When I really decided that I wanted to really go the path of leadership, there were several things that I had to do both professionally and personally. And from a personal standpoint, for me, it was really important to identify where I thought that I would be best served. And like was stated previously, I started out as a registered nurse, and the journey to that was difficult in the beginning because I really wanted to become an attorney. So if you even looked in the St. John's College book, you would see that I wanted to become an attorney. But unfortunately, when I graduated, that shifted. And so I had to move in a place where I thought I would be most useful. And having a lot of persons in my family in healthcare, I decided to go that route. And I am ever so grateful that I made that decision. So, very early after creating that, I created a vision for myself. I had this mental imagery of where I really saw myself in the future. And so I started creating in terms of my education in that manner. And then I also ensured that professionally, I also engaged with persons who are regarded as those individuals who I saw very successful and really moving to the top. And so through mentorship, many mentors, a few of them who have played an integral role, that is how I started. So I worked on Aubynette first and deciding where Aubynette saw that she would be best served within the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And then I attached myself with those individuals that I thought would take me to the next level. And I think that has worked out quite well so far.
Yes, excellent. So, can you tell us about some of the obstacles that you have faced and what types of changes you had to make to overcome them?
Oh boy, I think all of us could pull out multiple challenges or obstacles that we face. In my career and coming up as a young registered nurse and then now shifting into healthcare risk management and then really now being afforded the opportunity with having what we call a few dollars to now advance myself and do law and then come right back in healthcare and then study healthcare leadership, persons did not appreciate some of the visions that were set forth. And so I struggled with persons understanding the need for more creativity in healthcare, doing things differently. I struggled even sometimes in my decision making, based on what was before me at the time, that was really not the best choice. So instead of beating up myself, and unfortunately enough, it was nothing that caused any harms to patient. I sort of used a model that I was trained in healthcare that's called the PDCA model. And this model is a good model, and I encourage people to use it. You don't have to be in healthcare. It's about when you want to change things, if you want to improve the performance. And the PDCA stands for plan, do, check, and act. And so what I would do was, as persons became irate or wasn't willing to come on board, I sort of stepped back and I looked at the plan and I sort of looked at how we could possibly engage them and how I could allow them to see their valuable contributions for the success. And then we worked on that together. And when it wasn't working, and that's the element of the C, which is called check, but there's also an element that is used that is called S in there to study the issues and then make the changes and then we can act. And so I use that every day at work and everything that I do. And I think that has helped me to propel, to move forward. And then also getting those persons in the corner that will always be the soldiers to move forward. So encouraging those individuals to move forward and to get things going. I think a lot of times what we do is we beat up ourselves if we can't get it right. And I think we have to take a different approach and to see how that works until we get the best solution for the problem at hand.
Yes, excellent. And adding to your point, leaders don't always get it right. Can you tell us about some of the times you didn't get the results you wanted and how you were able to create something positive from those failures?
Yeah, and that's an excellent question, Darnell. You see, one of the things I think we struggle with as leaders, because there's the perception, as a leader, when you get that title, right, that position, that is it, you have arrived. And I've come to find out, especially as a John C. Maxwell speaker, teacher, and coach, that you have not arrived at all. And most of the times we get these positions because persons feel that we are the right person to have it done. But it's
Hmm.
more than just the position, because I always tell people you could lead wherever you sit. All right. And they will always be followers because people are always watching. But I want people to realize that failure is something that's important in leadership. And most successful people, if not all, have failed at least 3 or 4 times before they got it
Indeed.
right.
Hmm.
And so what I did with failure is I use it as an opportunity. After much struggle, it didn't come easy, to
Hmm.
remind myself that, Aubynette, this is an opportunity for you to get it right. It is just clearly stating to you that you are not ready. And so I use those opportunity to, one, to engage with others to get further insight and consultation. And I also use the opportunity to train people along the way so that they could see that, sometimes when you make the mistake, Donnell, what happens is it brings you closer into the reality that, listen, I can't do this on my own. It's a
Hmm.
team approach to get it done. And probably I ought to bring in others into
Right.
the arena so that we could discuss and get it right. So I think using failure and seeing it as something good is something that I have used and encourage people. Now, the continual failures is something different. So it
Hmm.
really means that we need to rethink the entire process. But
Hmm.
when things are not working well, I think we have to find the time to retreat before we re-engage, because we're
Hmm.
only going to get the same results. And
Indeed.
I think we not ought to put a time on it in terms of, oh, it must be done quickly, because
Hmm.
I have seen quick work become the result of unsustainability, right? And at the end of the day, when we are making positive changes, what we want is sustainability. So we
Yeah.
want more efficiency and more sustainability. So that is what has worked for me with failures. It's rough. It could put
Hmm.
a beating on you, and it could make you doubt your
Absolutely.
capability, but it's
Absolutely.
something that's good.
Absolutely. We have seen your career become more and more expansive, which shows us by example that perhaps there is no top. What would you recommend to those in our audience who are ready to take a next step for growth in their career?
Powerful, powerful question. So, I'm one of those who are in the 50s, and I'm comfortable saying it, right? And I have found in my years in healthcare, of which October will make 38 years, that persons have this perception that is really reality for them, that when they reach around mid 40s,
Hmm.
education and learning new things and working with the millennials is something that they're not prepared to do. And I find that we put a lid on our own selves.
Hmm.
And so, what do I mean by that? And I'm always going to put in something from my one of my biggest mentors, John Maxwell. We talk about the law of the lid, and the law of the lid speaks to a leader's possibility.
Hmm.
And when the leader now puts a lid on themselves, what the leader is really saying is, I've stopped growing. So that leader really doesn't have anything to offer those individuals who are working with and for them. That is something that is rather dangerous to happen, because your brain is prepared for it to continue. It is just the willingness for you to engage and to realize that you have more to offer. So, what I encourage people is don't put a lid on yourself, because the domino effect of that is everybody else that is under you will do the same thing and the organization will not grow. All right. It is like you would hear a person say that if you're the smartest in the room, persons used to tell you, you need to come out of the room. But, there's a new way of thinking now. If you're the smartest in the room, then you may ought to stay in the room so that you could teach a few others. But you
Yes.
may need to find another room where you become the student,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
it's a continual process of learning and educating. Because at the end of the day, when I have completed my tenure here at the PHA as the managing director, I am hopeful that I will find some mini Aubynettes who are willing to move forward and advance healthcare. That is why I'm here. So that in the next few years, when I need to use the facility and my only or singular choice may be the public sector, I feel comfortable that I would have played a role in the development and the leadership of those who follow me. So I think that is very, very important
Mhm.
in moving forward.
Excellent. And my final question to you, and then I can turn it over if we have other questions, is when we talk about leadership, we cannot forget about the team you are leading. Where do you see most leaders are failing their teams, and what advice would you give them and offer them to becoming the type of leader people trust and want to work with?
Great. So there are a few things I'd like to speak about. I think investing in your team is important. If your
Mhm.
team is a representation of you, and we work in diverse cultures, and they're very difficult to change. But I think we ought to take one step at a time. But the most important thing I find with some leaders today is they're all about investing in self, but they're not investing in their teams. And that's something that you need to do. That continual investment in your team
Mhm.
that allows you at any given time to be so relaxed when you're on vacation and other places. You are so, you 100% believe that they are holding the fort. And this is why
Mhm.
sometimes leaders don't want to leave the office simply because they have not prepared others to step into the role. The second thing I would say is communicating and connecting. And I say that without any excuse. Persons truly believe that because they communicate with people on a daily basis, that they are connecting with them. And that is so untrue. There's a
Mhm.
difference between communicating and connecting. You see, communicating is just saying, hi, good morning, how are you doing? But connecting is really getting to the level of that associate or that employee and saying, Darnell, how are you today? I
Mhm.
noticed a change. Is everything okay? How's your family? It's not that we're trying to find out your personal information, but I feel that if I get to learn about you, then I know your likes, your dislikes, I know your motivators, and I will definitely be able to pick up when something is going wrong. And I think that is missing. Lastly, on that point, and there's many, and I think these two come hand in hand, people are looking for an honest and a trustworthy leader.
Mhm.
What do I mean by that? A lot of times, like I stated, as leaders, we feel that we know it all. Boy, I can tell you we don't. All right. And we feel like we know it all. And therefore, we do not allow persons to enter that space to tell us when we need to change some things. And so, one of my mentors, one of the first books he gave me to read was one of the books that's called by Patrick Lencioni, that's called the five dysfunctions of a team. And in there, and I encourage persons to read that book and also read other books from that author. He speaks about the importance of vulnerability. All right, vulnerability, trust. And what that means is, as a leader, you have to be so prepared, and as well as the whole team in management, to really say that, I made a mistake.
Mhm.
I thought that this was the right thing and it didn't work out. Or I need your help. I don't know, right? We have to move away from that emotional element of destruction to one where we are so comfortable coming together as a team and as a leader to say that, we're not doing well in this area. And how do I help you to get it right? Because at the end of the day, it's about the client. And that's what I tell, my team members today. At the end of the day, it's about the patients and the relatives for those who do not have a voice because of their ailments. And everything that we do, every solution to the problem that we do, we should always be thinking about the patients. And I think that is where we need to go. So trust, honesty,
Mhm.
communicating and connecting, building the team. Most important for me, and it's me, is to always remain humble.
Yes.
Humility will take you where nothing else will take you because
Mhm.
a humble spirit allows individuals to see you as an approachable leader versus one
Yes.
who is unapproachable. And it stops all of the queries in the workplace because should they hear something adverse or should they be concerned, they know that they can trust you as a leader
Mhm.
and they will come to you. You will not win everybody, but the majority will know
Mhm.
that their interests is more important than the task that you give them every day.
Excellent points. Thank you so much, Aubynette. Do we have any questions, Melissa, from the audience? I think we
Yes,
have
we
two
have
minutes.
we have about just under 2 minutes left.
Mhm.
And the question I'm getting the most is how do you balance it? How do you balance the demanding job, family, life commitments, ongoing learning opportunities, all of these things that are time commitments?
And thank you for that question. Listen, there are some things I really enjoy, and I don't know if some of you may follow me because I teach leadership as well, and you may follow me and see me on LinkedIn and other places. I intentionally take some downtime. Now, I can tell you this transition has been difficult, but
Mhm.
15 minutes even works for me. And so, what I do is, I am a person I complete everything that I need to do, and then I have some downtime to myself and with family. I think what's important is all of us have to take time to just sit down and breathe. Just breathe. And so I do devotionals and I do things that keep me alive because I can tell you that healthcare is no place to play. And every day I am beaten up. But from the time I decided to take this position, I made a mental commitment to self to maintain my mental stability and
Mhm.
to know those things that I can deal with, those things that I can deal with that are urgent, and those things that I have to deal with in a phased approach. And so I take care of me by giving myself the mental break. And I sort of balance. I'm a little different now. Both of my kids are adults away.
Mhm.
So it's only myself and my husband. So all of the juggling doesn't exist. But for those who are dealing with careers and dealing with education, just find small time. I'm a continual learner. I am doing courses right now. And I think it's important
Mhm.
that you do that so that you are always up to date, so that you can provide what others need, because everybody's not going to go to the table to learn. And so just take small steps. My thing is growth is only with steps. You don't have to make them big.
Mhm.
Once you're doing, you're growing. And then just balance, find what works best for you. For me, it's 15 minutes, take a break. And really, if you really want to know what I do, just take me for a ride around this 21 by 7, and I'm okay.